I know that we're all out of money after Final Fantasy, but I've gone through the multiverse and found 12 cards that are at all-time lows here in July of 2025. You're seeing my 12 picks and their prices right now, so if you see a card that's interesting to you, check the timeline of the video and you can skip right to that one. But do me a favor, if I'm able to help you find a cool card to pick up, hit that subscribe button or hit that like button. Otherwise, throw me on your second monitor and let's hang out and talk about some Magic cards. Joel R. Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards quickly and easily on the internet. TCG Player, the best place to buy them. Have stores compete for your purchase. Dragon Shield, the best sleeves in the multiverse and the best way to protect your cards. And Moxfield, the only place to put your deck lists on the internet. I want to start by jumping back to Aether Drift. I know nobody liked that set, but I've got a couple of picks from the set in the video today, starting with the Verges. Wastewood Verge Borderless is at an all-time low right now of $4.20. Hey-o. And that sort of signified to me, let's take a look at the Verges and maybe make sure that it's a good time to buy these. I mean, look at them. Add a green or add a black if you control a swamp or forest. In the color identities that want these lands, they play very strong in your commander deck, and it could be a cool time to pick up the borderless ones in particular. If you look at the rest of the set, Riptide Verge under $10, that's the most expensive borderless Verge right now. That's the red and blue one. Look at the foils, $15-ish or less, around 10 for the second tier, and then down from there. Most of the Verges are at good pickup ranges right now. I will say they're not all at all-time lows, but you can see a slight jump with Riptide Verge, the most expensive one there, still at a decent pickup number. And we know that these treatments, the borderless versions in particular, are unlikely to ever show up again in that exact treatment. So looking at cards like Wastewood Verge in the borderless, looking at cards like even Riptide Verge in the borderless might be a good time to upgrade your decks a little bit and take a peek at the foils. It's not even that bad to bling it out even more. How the Mighty Have Fallen, Craterhoof Behemoth from Commander Masters at an all-time low of $13 right now. The price on this one has fallen significantly as an eye roller of a win con, but multiple reprints will do that to you. We got it in Commander Masters. We got it in Tarkir Dragonstorm, around $12.63 for this copy, the absolute cheapest one right now, the standard base copy of Craterhoof Behemoth. This is a really great time. Most of us have moved on mentally from Tarkir. Most of us are in the process of moving on mentally from Final Fantasy. And so it's a good time to start looking back at some of the more recent sets and see where the pickups lie. I think it's a great time to pick up Craterhoof. This is the cheapest I've ever seen one. This is one of those like boomer brain cards for me where I'm like, oh, Craterhoof Behemoth, that's a $30 card easily. But right now, you can go get yourself one for $10 or a foil for $13 from Tarkir Dragonstorm. And that's not to mention if you want the OG art, the Chris Ron here on the Commander Masters copy, go grab yourself a copy of that one. Saw in Half is an insane card, number one. You're absolutely going to have to all work together to figure out exactly what happens when you use this on your own creature. But it's now been reprinted twice in major ways. Once here with the version from Commander Bloomborough that you can see, kind of showing you the universes within one first, because most people will prefer that. We also did get the Universe Beyond Deadpool Saw in Half as well, only about $5 on that one. It popped up in Unfinity. That was the first time we saw it, and that's why it was scarce for the longest time. It was one of those cards in Unfinity that was legal, even though it was in an unset. It was legal for typical play, I guess you could say. So now having it in the Commander Bloomborough set gives us more universes within. Not that an unset isn't universes within. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. But lots of people play this in Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, Chatterfang, Squirrel General gets Saw in Half a lot. Hashiton could get absolutely nutty with this. So there's a couple of homes that this card could slot right into. Saw in Half here with a squirrel on it. Excellent pickup range at around $5. Get some shenanigans going, and if you want to get super shenanigan-y with it, go grab yourself a Deadpool copy. Renewed Solidarity came from the Commander Aether Drift Zombie deck with Temet, Noctimon's Will, and Hashiton as the Lieutenant Commander. As you can see, the hype for this one was insane out of the gate. It seemed to people like another kind of anointed procession. A white and 2, as the enchantment enters, you name a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0. And at the beginning of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, you create a token that's a copy of it. So people were like, oh, it's the second coming of Anointed Procession. It must be a $40 card. And as you can see at this point, it's fallen down to single digits, around $6 to grab you a copy. This is the kind of like, are you playing a Kindred deck, and does that Kindred deck heavily feature tokens? If both of the answers to that are yes, and white is in the color identity, you should definitely be grabbing a copy of this, because this card is going to go absolutely insane in that deck that I just described very specifically, and it's still very powerful. It's not quite Anointed Procession. You just heard the hoops that I told you need to jump through before this card is sick in your deck. And I think people overrated it a little bit for that reason. Edgar Markov, Verena Lich Queen, Zurgo, like any Zurgo that's making the tokens, the new Zurgo from Dragonstorm Tarkir. These are the kinds of commanders that want this card immediately and are going to get upgraded so fast if you go grab a copy of this. Wanted to call this one out specifically because I think for me personally, price memory on this one was, oh, that's super expensive. I'm going to wait till a reprint, but it's fallen so far now, you don't really have to. You can just go grab a copy. Valgavoth Terror Eater, I can say with confidence, is one of my favorite creatures of the last year to get into the graveyard and then reanimate for 1 mana and 9 life. Flying lifelink, the ward is they have to sacrifice 3 non-lands to even be able to target. If a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it, and during your turn you can play cards exiled with Valgavoth with life instead of mana value. This thing does it all, and on top of it, it's a flying lifelinking 9/9. I love this card so much. This one plays pretty heavily in Kaalia decks, obviously being a demon. Hashiton decks really like it too. That's really just to say that Reanimator decks like it, honestly. Hashiton is sort of a backdoor take on Reanimator where you're discarding the thing, you're paying the mana, and then you're getting copies of it. You can see how that would be good with Valgavoth, though not as strong as a 4/4 when it should be a 9/9, but still very playable in there. Be'lakor, the Dark Master, loves it because it's a demon. Betor loves it because it's got life link. Lots of places for this card to find a home. Personally, I play it in Dahada because, like I said, I love to reanimate this thing. Right now at an all-time low of $12, this is a mythic that I think is going to hover between that 10 to 12. I think that's where it's mostly going to stay before rotation, and I don't know, somewhere between now and the heat death of the sun rotates Duskmourn out of standard. It's just going to be a while before this is not a standard card. So I think that it's going to be a little while before it falls into those single digits. So great pickup right now, especially compared to the over 40 that it premiered. I got 2 more base copy cards that I want to show you, and then I've got some special frames that have hit some all-time lows that you might be interested in. Murktide Regent, though, from Modern Horizons 2 is my penultimate base copy here. Around $7.83 for Murktide right now, and you can see this one has peaked over $20 at various times. I think that that potentially could happen again. We're maybe at a point now where there's enough supply of Murktide Regent that it's never going to ping back over that $20 even if it does become a playable. But Modern Horizons 2 was heavily opened. I think there's been plenty of stock, plenty of inventory, available copies for Murktide Regent for a while now. And so seeing it pop over $20 there at the end of 2024, very interesting to me, especially considering how in the first year or so of its life, it spent most of that time over $20. Regardless, even if you don't want multiple copies to play in your Legacy or Modern deck, Murktide Regent plays well in Commander as well. It's a dragon that can have its cost reduced and plays with graveyard synergies. Savitri Dragon Master is one of the main decks that run this card. Tasigur, the Golden Fang, Niv Mizzet, cards like this that are spellcaster cards or that are playing with the graveyard a lot may want to take a peek at this dragon and see if they want to threat that they can sort of delve cheat onto the battlefield. Ajani Nacatl Pariah plays in the most played Modern deck with Boros Energy, but it has fallen significantly. Modern Horizons 3 was a set that was majorly opened, and a lot of the base copies now are starting to get down to those all-time lows. So check out the whole set is good advice that I can provide to you. But right now, Ajani is in a great pickup range. $8.24 for this card that has spent time over $40, over $20. If you want it for your Commander deck, it's a great time to go pick up a single of it. Ren and Ciri, Inseparable, obviously run this. It's a cat. That deck loves it. Caesar, Legion's Emperor, loves loves that it's creating tokens. Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, loves that there are multiple creatures getting put onto the battlefield. Winota, Joiner of Forces, loves that non-human creatures are attacking so that we can go and get some human creatures from our deck. Ajani has a lot of play. It's a strong card at 2 mana, and I don't think you're ever going to regret it having it, especially in a decks that want to go wide or need cats. That's where this one's going to really thrive. Also worth noting that the Ajani in the borderless treatment is at an all-time low now of around $15 as well. Typically these videos are hitting cards that are under that $10 range, but when there's a card that's very cool looking in my opinion and also hitting, I like to call it out. Really Modern Horizons 3 just in general. Good time to go and look at that set and see if there's any singles from it that you want that you didn't pick up. Let's use that to swap over into special frame cards and take another peek at Aether Drift. Riptide Gearhulk says when it enters, for each opponent, put up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls into its owner's library, 3rd from the top. That's so obnoxious. And in blue and white, this creature gets blinked so easily. Plus, you've got the new Jeskai deck from Tarkir Dragonstorm, Double Strike Prowess on this creature as well. There's a couple of different archetypes that this could play in, and this treatment, by the way, so sick. All-time low right now of $4.71. Man, y'all hated this set. Ricky didn't want to buy any of this. Ricky bought way too many collector packs of Final Fantasy. Still can't find as many as he wants to spend money on, though. And he did not spend any money at all on Aether Drift. But that just means that Ricky can loop back, grab a copy of Riptide Gearhulk in a sexy treatment for $4, $5. A foil of it, which, look at that art. You know that foil would go hard. $13 for a copy like that. I don't know. It's a good time to go back and look at Aether Drift and see if there are any cool cards that are going to fit well into any decks that you've already got. Riptide Gearhulk getting a lot of play in cards like Mendicant Core, Guidelight, Hashiton yet again. Loving this card, splitting it, getting that ability. Oof, that's rough. Satya, Aetherflux Genius really loves this one. Cheat it in, get extra copies of it. Brago, King Eternal. That's what I was talking about with the flashy blinking stuff. This is the kind of creature that, oh man, the 3rd or 4th time you blink this thing, I'm probably just going to go to Scoop Base. I'm going to be honest. Let's look at the first place foils as well. There are 2 here that I want to call out. This is way past the $10 range. I'll be honest with you. This is down to $36, but this was pretty much the chase card from this set. Ketramose, copies of Ketramose were. This is definitely one of them. The Aether Spark is the top one, but Ketramose here in what people lovingly refer to as the P border is down to an all-time low. If you've got a Ketramose deck, you built it as a commander, you were waiting for like a super special version to get low enough to pimp out that commander, here it is. You can get the P border version and go grab yourself a copy at an all-time low. These are really, really falling overall. Obviously, your base copy is where your cheapest ones are going to hit. And you can see the most expensive one is your first place foil of the borderless Ketramose. That one at an all-time low, but it's about $90 to go and get the most pimped out version of Ketramose. I think right now, even if you just want to get the borderless copy in foil, it's under $20. So there's some options there. But you can see the chart. Aether Drift is falling. It is time to go and check out Aether Drift, see if there happen to be 1 or 2 cards that you wanted a copy of. And I would say Ketramose here in our all-time low, in our base copy, in our P border version. Great time to go look at this one. Another P border copy is the Sab-Sunen Luxa Embodied. Yeah, she's right there. Wood. Sab-Sunen in our P border, $42 all-time low right now. I just thought it was interesting that some of these top treatments from Aether Drift are now completely crashing out, even though these were super hard to pull. Very rare, you know, because there were so many options in that first place foil slot where those could be pulled. Sab-Sunen plays well, obviously, as the commander, but Indominus Rex really loves Reach, Trample, and Indestructible. Eshki Teamer's Roar just loves a big old creature for 5 mana because you're looking for power 6 or greater with Eshki's final payoff there. Look at Miss Bumbleflower, though. This is a great card in that. You're doing +1 counter shenanigans, and you've got a reaching, trampling, indestructible threat that you can give flying. Sab-Sunen here for me, same as Ketramose. It's a commander that people are interested in. It's a good Simic card that people are interested in for their Simic decks. And so I think if you want a first place foil version of it, it's definitely the time to go and check that out. One more that I want to call out, it did not take off from Dragonstorm Tarkir like I thought it would. I never said it on camera, but I had my eye on this one around Dragonstorm. This is the Foundations borderless copy. Lots of Foundations got opened, y'all, but a borderless mythic whose foil is under $10 as well. Instants and sorceries being cast, that happens in Commander. Rite of the Dragoncaller will create you a 5/5 flyer every single time you cast an instant or sorcery. It doesn't even have to resolve. Storm, Force of Nature, Niv Mizzet, Visionary. Both of these cards, Foundations, Niv Mizzet specifically, you're loving. Veyron, Voice of Duality, Spellcaster commanders that are absolutely going to go insane if you're throwing 5/5 flyers out every single time you cast a spell. A $5 mythic in borderless at this point if you've got some sort of crazy spellcastery 5/5 dragon creating need. Rite of the Dragoncaller has your back, and it looks cool. And let's wrap up by checking in on an old friend. The lowest price that this card has ever been at. Sweet Dockside Extortionist. You died for sins that were legitimate and you needed to go. $10 if you want to grab this for cube at this point. If you want a cube Dockside Extortionist, it's only $10 to grab you one now. It would have been $75 in July of last year. Insane what has happened over the last year to this card, but a ban will do that. You're looking at $10 for a Dockside Extortionist from Commander 2019. You've also got versions from Double Masters 22 that are dropping in price. $30 for your borderless there. Still just under $90 for the Etched on Dockside. I feel like that's people maybe making bets that it'll get unbanned one day. But if I had to put chips down, I would say the Dockside Extortionist is never getting unbanned in Commander. So if you want one, you're using it in cube or you're rule zeroing this into your Commander decks and your pod is cool with high level play that you use broken cards in. That's what you're doing here. Those are my great pickups for the beginning of July 25. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen any card at a great price. I'd love to talk to you about it there. If I helped you find any cards, hit that subscribe button or hit that like button if you already have. And if you want to support me directly, go check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.